Hi everyone, we're here with former Arsenal goalkeeper Alex Manninger now. How you doing, Alex? And of course, we were
Hi.
just talking there in regards to the
Thank you.
Euros as well. It's been a good tournament, isn't it?
Hello. Yes, I'm fine. Thank you. Enjoying myself and waiting for the final on Sunday.
And of course, you signed for Arsenal under the legendary Arsene Wenger. So, what was it about Arsenal Football Club? What were the kind of deciding factors, and you wanted to come and apply your trade, in London?
Yeah, at this stage it was something special. Going abroad was already some big thing to ask, for a young player, and then obviously joining a club with Arsene Wenger in the guide. It was just, something what I never forget. And my career started with probably one of the best teams at this time, with one of the best managers at this time. So it was really a pleasure to be part of this side.
And of course, you were competing alongside David Seaman for the number one spot at that time as well. So, what was that like to obviously come up against David in terms of trying to get that one position in terms of obviously a goalkeeper.
Yeah.
You can only play one of you, can't you? So
Yeah, no, it was definitely, we had a great relation actually. Yeah? So it was something it helped me all the way through my career to get the advice of someone who played hundreds of games before me. And I joined Arsenal when I was 20. And probably you wish to have someone like him in front of you to learn every game he played, and in training, to watch him, to talk to him. And I really benefited a lot.
And of course, it wasn't just David there at that time. There were some real, fantastic players, and that back four as well. If you look at that back four on paper, Arsenal fans, I'm an Arsenal fan myself as well. And when you look at it, that back four, you're just formidable, weren't they? With Dixon, Winterburn, Adams, and Martin Keown.
Exactly, it's unforgettable. You join a team what was probably the best defenders at this time. So you join a team, you grow into this team what already made history before. And then you find obviously colleagues like the ones you said. It makes fun. It makes football fun, and obviously as a goalkeeper you're well protected.
Absolutely, and of course, there was plenty in there as well. Not even just the defenders, but there was the likes of Petit and Vieira and Dennis Bergkamp, Nicolas Anelka, some world class international players all over the pitch.
Yeah, definitely. That's what the team was created. In the end of '90s, there were like international players with different high qualities, and you could see there was something growing, and it was nice to be part of it. Yeah, definitely.
And of course, you made your debut for the club in a victory against Southampton in the league as well. And what was that like to play at Highbury and get a clean sheet on your debut as well?
Exactly. Yeah, it's something you don't forget. You go thrown in a big game in a big club. You ask yourself, can you do it and all? And obviously from this day on, I know and I knew I could do it, and that helped me definitely. Yeah, and obviously, like you said, the team, the players, the quality around, it made it easier because everyone helped you, and we grew together as a team, and it was definitely a great time to be working for the club. Yeah.
And of course, that was the first of a couple of clean sheets. You actually went on to keep 6 clean sheets in a row, and the last one of those was in a victory at Old Trafford against Man United as well. And that was a massive victory for the club, and it kind of stood the club in good stead going forward, didn't it, for the remainder of that season?
Definitely, yeah. I think this is one of my best and most important games in my career, because I was still young. It was about Christmas time. We were back, points behind Man United, and we knew if we beat them, we can do something special. And from this game on, it definitely gave us the idea there is something else waiting for us. And I never forget this game. It was one of the best games I remember. Yeah.
And of course, you had a big part in that game as well. You made a couple of crucial saves from Teddy Sheringham and also from Andy Cole as well.
I probably don't remember every move, but I think it was important, to win at Old Trafford at this time 1-0. It was something special, definitely, And I remember we had a good game. We were well taught what to do, and I think, from there on, we knew we can do something, Mm-hmm.
And of course, it wasn't just the league as well. It was also the FA Cup that season. Of course, the club went on and achieved the double as well, and you had a big part to play in that FA Cup run as well, including the quarter-final, saving in the penalty shootout as well against West Ham, but then, of course, seeing us through to the semis.
Exactly. It's definitely one of those games as well, those competitions. The FA Cup in England is worth more than the league title in other countries. So it is something special. And to get everything, both titles in the first year, it stays under your belt, and you never forget that, and no one takes it away, and it stays with you, and it makes you feel there was something right you done, so it's something special. And to share these trophies with someone at this time is something, you definitely take for the rest of your life.
And of course, we touched on earlier, just a moment ago, in regards to some of the players that you played alongside as well. And of course, Tony Adams was captain at that time. So what was Tony like as a leader, sort of on and off the pitch?
He was an idol, He was an idol. He was an example of, leading a team as a young player. Obviously, you looked up to him, you listened to him, you watched the way he trained, and he was someone to look for, and definitely one of the key players. I remember when I went through my career, and I remember him, preparing and playing games and all, and motivating people and teammates, and he was a leader, definitely there.
And at that point, of course, Arsene Wenger had only been at the club for a short while as well, and he'd come into Arsenal, and obviously since that, he went on and had a really good couple of seasons with the club, didn't he? Well, over 20 seasons in total, when getting the Invincibles, etc. Some really big moments for the club. That you were a part of that. The early days under Arsene, of course.
Mm-hmm. That's it. Yeah, I joined when Arsene had his first year, fully first season, and that makes it special. When you start something, you know each other for years. When I played 4 years ago with Liverpool against Arsenal, we met because I was a sub at this game, and then we walked through the tunnel and looked at each other, and it makes you nice when people remember what you've done. And Arsene Wenger obviously changed football, and he's definitely one of the great guys in football. And you in one day you want to work with people like that because you've done something wrong, you've done something right.
Absolutely, yeah. And when you look at the success of the club, and it's a shame for obviously a little bit really in regards to how Arsene left the club. But there was many successful years sort of before that, and now of course the club have got Mikel Arteta in charge, and it's it's a different time. Of course the Emirates, different stadium, everything's a little bit more new and a little bit more. Kind of a sort of progress really
off the pitch, but a bit more of a struggle on it.
Yeah, and I think so. Yeah, they picked up, what the other clubs did years before, and to leave a club like Arsenal, I remember my departure. It wasn't nice. Definitely, it cost me a lot of tears actually. Yeah, so it's always, when you're in a relation for years, and then you leave this relation, it hurts. If you do it good or bad or anyway, it hurts. So I remember my leaving, and I can remember how Arsene felt after more than 20 years. It is something big, and you need a few days to understand what's actually happened. Yeah, but this is life. It goes on. You move on. You go to other clubs. You go. Arsene, I think, decided to retire, and that's what it is. It's part of life.
Absolutely. I was just saying with Mikel as well, it's the last few years have been a process, and of course now Arsenal, they've taken a few steps backwards, but sometimes that's not a bad thing because you can regroup and then, have a couple of really good seasons in years to come.
Yeah, I think they're building up again. The only thing is the Premiership is so competitive now. You need to really spend money. You need to really find the right players for big money, So it's not easy to win now in England. It's not easy at all. So I wish one day to be up there again, and I think they can because they always worked good, But obviously they need to stay on their toes because the others are, and there is 5, 6, 7 clubs every year who can win the English Premiership. Yeah?
And of course, there's some real young talent coming through there as well. Bukayo Saka and Smith Rowe, of course, the HLN boys, and you can add the likes of Martinelli as well. There's some real top draw young talent coming through at Arsenal at the moment.
Definitely, they really work well. They really do a good youth job work, So it's great to see them as well, own players and very not known as much players, So it's good to see the mixture. But obviously, to win, you need to spend, and to win, you need to keep players happy. And to win, you obviously need a little bit of luck as well, Get the right players, not injured, stay on your toes, get the right flu, It needs everything. To win, it needs everything, yeah.
And that's, what you've just said there. Of course, with the COVID pandemic as well, there's been no fans in the stadium, and that's going to have a big impact on players as well, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah, definitely. It's something everyone watches and everyone knows, and it's definitely something they only can benefit from it,
And so, absolutely. I think it's going to be great that the fans are going to be back in. Hopefully, as I think about the start of the season, full capacity stadiums and stuff. And you've seen with the Euros, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, definitely it is. Football is a game with spectators. The stadiums now in Europe, I think the smallest is 40,000-50,000. You want them full. It's acting now, really. Football is acting, and you want the supporters with you, and it helps, And it's a game, where you want to be supported by your friends. And I can just say, look, get all vaccinated and make sure everyone is healthy, and let's try to be normal again.
Absolutely, and hopefully that's going to be sooner rather than later that's going to be happening as well. England is, I think, about 2 weeks away from the allowance of sort of main spectators, etc. now at a full capacity, which is perfect time for the new season. And then when you look at obviously the Euros as well, of course your own native nation, Austria, where you are now as well. They've done really well actually getting to the last 16 before being knocked out by the Italians, and the Italians are they're of course England's opponents on Sunday in the final.
Definitely, that's what I said as well over here. The gap is closer, the gap is smaller. So you see the smaller teams. It was also Austria, it was Switzerland, it was Czech Republic, and you can do surprises. Denmark really went just by an inch, just didn't go past England. So it's very, very tight now, and you could see even Austria, we are up there as well. We're not as far behind as we were like 10 years ago. And that makes football interesting, and you see every game was exciting, and it was many goals and all. So it's football how it should be. And
yeah, absolutely. And it's great that, of course, Austria have done really well and getting to the last 16 as well. After not the easiest route into that last 16 from the group. But then if you look at where you played in a number of different countries as well, haven't you? You played in Austria, England, Spain, Germany, Italy as well. And what are some of those main differences between sort of playing in England compared to some of the other nations where you played?
Yeah, I came a bit around. I was lucky to have many possibilities, and England is just now where everyone wants to play, and you can see the best players are in England. There was one day They were all in Italy, and then they were a bit in Germany and all. Then they were in Spain. But now everyone wants to be in England, and that makes sense. That makes a league better. That makes many clubs competitive to win the title. So, and that's England is a football country. So it's definitely a nation where you can feel the sport is right. And Austria's picked up now. All the Austrian players are abroad. Most of them, obviously, I think 2 or 3 still play in Austria. But it's the international football what makes you further steps. So you need to be international. You need to be in the UEFA Cup. You need to be in the Europe League. You need to be in the Champions League, and then you get better. You get better and better.
Absolutely, the Champions League is a great competition as well, and something that Arsenal have been out of for a while. Of course, the Europa League now, and of course Arsenal will not, have no European football next season. But that's another thing that isn't really always a bad move, because sometimes that can help in terms of maybe progressing on in the league without having the distraction of Europe, because it can be a bit of a distraction at times as well.
Yes, but a club like Arsenal, they're built to be international. They rather be international and struggle a bit, but they need to be in the Europe League at least, or in the Champions League. But as I said, in England, it's so hard to get even under the first 4, and Arsenal will do everything this season to get into the first 6 again, to be international, because Arsenal is built to be international. So they need to be back in.
And of course, in your time at the club, you mentioned, we mentioned obviously you played against Man United. What was your experiences like of some of the other derbies, the likes of the Tottenham derby and Chelsea, etc. as well?
Of course, definitely. It was already in this days. It was massive, obviously. Especially as a London club, you've got so many derbies, and then obviously the history between Manchester, Arsenal, now Liverpool again up there and all. So it's something, what builds up over decades, and this is what it's done in England. And Arsenal is definitely one of those clubs who made history in the last 20, 30 years. And that's definitely something Arsenal want to do soon again, because they are built, as I said, to win, and they are built to play international football.
And then, 100%, that's Arsenal for you. It sums it up. So I've just got a couple more questions, just, last few really. In terms of, you growing up yourself and getting into football, who was it that, kind of inspired you in terms of former players and players from past years gone by?
Yeah, well, at my time when I started to be a professional footballer in the middle of the 90s, you weren't sure if this could be a job, so I was a joiner. I was an apprentice joiner, finished my diploma, and became, the day after I had my joiner diploma in the hand, I finished and stopped and went to football. I got a couple of quid more, and I trained every day to become a professional footballer, and that made me believe, yes, this is what I want to do. And then I picked up, I went to Graz in Austria, then I went to England very young, where you could actually find out and feel, that could be the job, you could probably work football. And this, obviously in these days, it wasn't guaranteed, now you're in the early days, you're done when you got a contract, when you sign your first contract, probably you're done for life, so it changed all a bit, and but it was nice, to know you need to do well, you need to look after your body, and it motivates you to go year by year, and it definitely helps me to do something else before football as well.
And what was that like? Of course, you were only a young man at that point as well, and of course, leaving your own, native Austria and coming to play abroad. What was the transition period like?
Difficult, because at this time there was no mobile phone, there was no internet, I didn't have any examples, no players were abroad and all, so it was difficult, language problems, no navigation systems in the cars and all, so it was a different way. It worked, it definitely worked, but it was, it was different than nowadays. It was different, and sometimes I think, it was probably the the more working way. But now, obviously, you have different possibilities, to get yourself out there and show yourself which boots you're wearing, which haircut you got, and it's a different football now. It's different, yeah.
And of course, we said about earlier on some of the players that were there. Were there any players in particular that kind of sort of took you under their wing and helped you to kind of settle in?
Well, I remember always when I joined Arsenal and the two Dutch guys like Dennis Bergkamp and Mark Overmars were here. They spoke like a little bit German. They helped me in the first days, and all. I remember them, and I could see already that means real football. When I remember Dennis Bergkamp training, I thought the first 3-4 times he hit the post in goals, hit the post and it still went in the goal. And I thought, he might have been a bit lucky. But after a couple of weeks, I know, bloody hell, every shot is post in.
Yeah.
So he knows exactly where he put the ball. So he was one of the talents. First of my international career, I got introduced to a perfect footballer. And this is, I never forget. And I really remember him as the first perfect footballer.
He was fantastic, wasn't he, Dennis? Thierry Henry, Mark Overmars, the names there that have been reeled off. There's plenty over the 5 years that you were at the club as well. There was so many, Carnu, some fantastic players.
Exactly. From then on, on the end of 90s, every year a couple of great players joined the team. We got better and better, and the team grew as well. The club itself was growing, was growing. So it was nice to be part in the early days, and then obviously you've seen what happened. They won another title, and they really made history, and that's what a great club is there for. They need to perform, they need to win, they need to get great players coming and make small players great. That's part of the job to be a historical club. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then when...
all right, Mike.
Just having a look here, just got one or two more. So in regards...
Last question. I need to shoot, yeah? Last question.
Yes, just the last one, that's fine. So, of course, in your time at Arsenal, you won the Player of the Month award as well when you were given special... what's the word? Kind of...
little trophy,
but I mean in regards to winning the FA Cup and the Premier League as well, you were given obviously you needed 10 you needed 10 appearances, but obviously you still got a winner's medal anyway, and that was a nice touch, wasn't it? Obviously you had a big impact, and it was nice that the club and people were able to still recognise that how big a part you actually played in that.
Yeah, definitely. That's still on my little shelf at home, and definitely there are, things what remember you for what you did, and that makes it special, and this is why Arsenal definitely for me was something special. Unfortunately, it ended, in my opinion, too early. But as I said before, it's life, things close down somewhere, but they open up somewhere else. So this is part of life. Not only football.
Absolutely. Then just the last point is: do you still manage to look out for the club? Do you still find out any results? Do you still look out for what the club's doing?
Yeah, I'm looking. Of course, I'm checking the results, but I'm not a big fan of football anymore. So I'm doing a lot of other sports and trying to obviously get some time back what I spend on football and do something else. Try to find some other interests, and I'm really doing well, even with not having football every day.
Okay, well, we'll leave it there then. So thank you for taking some time out, Alex, and it's been great chatting to you.
Thank you, and cheers, Mike. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
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 Bye-bye.